Welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast, and this is going to be a review for The Man in the High Castle, Season 3. It's an Amazon Prime show, created by Frank Spotnitz, and it stars Alexa Davalos, Luke Pietank, and Rufus Sewell. In a dystopian America dominated by the Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, a young woman discovers a mysterious film that holds the key to toppling the totalitarian regime. Alternate universe: if the Nazis in Japan had won World War II, Luke Pietank plays Joe Blake, and Alexa Davalos plays Juliana Crane. They kind of meet by chance. It turns out that Joe Blake actually works for the Nazis, and he's looking for a man in the high castle who has been putting out films showing the Nazis as losing World War II, and they're trying to figure out why this is. And then you also have another important character who is Rufus Sewell, who plays John Smith, who is a very high-ranking Nazi. The United States is split up into two halves, or technically three halves. Most of the East is Germany. Most of the West belongs to Japan. And in the middle, there's a neutral zone. In Japan, there's a couple of different characters where Juliana Crane comes from. But Season 2 goes into an aspect where Joe Blake, his father, attempts to overthrow the German government. And
yeah, it's more in depth on the Reich and how that operates.
Yeah, so at that point in Season 2, Hitler is still alive, but he's more or less on his deathbed. Joe Blake's father is technically second or third in command, tries to do a coup. It fails because John Smith, who is loyal to the Reich, gives up a whole bunch of people and Joe Blake's father. So Season 3 begins, Joe Blake having to kill his father because he's a traitor. And Joe Blake is also technically a super soldier, or like genetically bred German, first of his kind, even though there's some other ones that show up in Season 2. No, Juliana Crane attempts to join a resistant movement. She's also on the run. She also meets the man in the high castle who tells her about this alternate universe where America won World War II. So this season kind of delves a little bit more into the man in the high castle, alternate universes, and that the Germans recognize that these alternate universes exist, doing some things to the Japanese to try to fool the Japanese into believing that they want peace, even though they want to invade the Japanese. So, Keith, what did you think of Man in the High Castle Season 3?
I don't want to say it was an improvement. Could have done better with maybe one or two episodes less. They did a couple things that were some complaints that I had from the first two seasons, wrapped up a ton of the outlying storylines. And one of those was Joe Blake. They wrapped his up, the fiance. They wrapped what was going on with him as well. They kind of sold the entire Man in the High Castle thing as what do the films actually mean? What's the purpose of bringing them over here? The first two seasons was just them running around trying to protect the film, find it, find out where it came from, and then who's sending them. Finding the Man in the High Castle. Who is he and where does he get these films from? Second season was you find the Man in the High Castle, but then we're finding out where the films came from. And Minister Dagommi in the second season actually goes to this parallel dimension, this parallel world, basically our world.
Lives in it for a while.
Yeah, he's there for a while. He's there for a minute. He's there for a few episodes. That's the big thing, is that Juliana Crane's sister actually was able to travel. She was a film courier, and that significance didn't make sense until this season. At the end of the second season, Juliana's sister shows up, and it's the same sister that she saw murdered in front of her. One of the strengths of the show is that you have these absolutely evil bastards who have extremely human reasons for doing what they're doing. Inspector Kido, head of the secret police for the Imperial Japan, stamp out terrorism, stop them from any sort of resistance to the rule. He's just out there to observe the rule law for that. And he does epically horrifying shit. Like he kills Juliana Crane's, her fiance, Frank. That guy's sister and his niece and nephew are killed, basically on suspicion.
Yeah, and exactly. Then he lets him live with the guilt of all that. He got him killed because he wouldn't tell him the truth.
Basically, he's like, well, this is your fault, and you should have told me the truth. And as such, your family's dead. Goodbye. In his mind, he's showing mercy to letting him live with that. Throughout the thing, as you're watching it, on one hand, you kind of like the guy because of this dedication, what he's going through and trying to do. On the other hand, you want him to get his ass kicked And then you got Oben's grouping for John Smith. And Rufus Sewell is probably the only person who could have played this role.
Yeah.
Because he actually makes this evil Nazi prick. None of that, he's an evil traitor Nazi. Fought in World War II on the Allied side. He was an American soldier who becomes a high-ranking Nazi official, like soldier in the SS. So you know he had to betray somebody. So, but he did everything he did to protect his family. He did everything so that his family could live through the transition and through what was going to happen next.
And something that comes up in the second season is that his son has an illness, and he's trying to prevent his son from being eliminated by the German government because they're 100% strong and allow the German race to continue. His son knows that he's sick. His family knows that he's sick. His doctor knows that he's sick. John Smith kills his doctor.
Their eugenics program and stuff.
Yeah. His son has an illness, so he tries to come up with a scheme where he's going to get his son kidnapped on some trip, falls apart, where his son gives himself up. And that comes back to play in this season. I think this season suffers from just having way too many characters. And then they introduce new characters.
They spin them out. They did spin them out.
Kind of. Because they introduced Wyatt, black market dealer. And
yeah, but his, like, he kind of filling two row seats. They wrapped up Frank and the other dude, Joe Blake. They all got wrapped up pretty neatly.
Not really, because the Frank thing did not need to happen this season. That he shows up and he's deformed. And
he was the most sympathetic of characters, though. He was the guy who was trying to live his life, but secretly he was living life as being Jewish. In the end, he was the innocent one, because in the first season, Juliana was running her mouth. She basically was for the reason his family getting wrapped into that mess. Because she was out there after hours and stuff, and so she got wrapped up in all that mess.
This season, they kind of go off in the Hunger Games direction, where like he's the inspiration for to get certain. And I didn't need that. I did not need that this season. I mean, Joe Blake is important. Joe Blake is important. Frank Freak is not important.
Yeah, but I was ticked Joe Blake. Tired of that dude. I didn't like his ass in the first season.
So,
honestly. Like, did you like him?
Well, the whole thing was that he got brainwashed into believing that he's doing everything he can for the Reich, and that's why he had to kill his father, and then he's being subversive against the German government, or appearing to be. His death scene was anticlimactic. Juliana kills him. They beat up, and she's trying to figure out why he's back. He's trying to figure out why she's working with the Japanese or working for Tagomi. She finds out that he's spying on everybody. She just slashes him through his throat, runs off, and that is the end of him. Until she mentions that.
He was tiresome, dude. He was an important character, but he was a tiresome guy. Like, I mean, I just didn't see the big importance of that dude. And the character Wyatt, it was like the last episode, that last 20 minutes with him. Okay, this is why that guy's around. This is what I'm talking about right here. Like, look at these dudes taking out. Him getting shot in the chest. I'm like, hell yeah, there we go.
That's always funny. He was like, "You're like,
you got these evil bastards like just right in front of you, and they just keep talking about him. Come on, get some wish fulfillment going on here." Dr. Mengele just walking around talking about, "I'm good to big science." And some dude needs to jump out with a butcher knife and just like hacking them up to pieces.
The whole point of this season is that, again, the Germans know about the alternate universe, or alternate universes, multiple. They plan to invade all of them.
Which is utterly fucking retarded.
The arc of this season is Juliana is trying to stop them from doing that German tool that will allow them to transport to different universes. They fail. Everybody fails. But Juliana kind of disappears. She learns how to meditate, transport herself to the other universe.
The Germans had a successful first test, actually. Like, one of the people that they sent through actually
somewhat
traveled
successful.
to the alternate dimension.
Like 1 out of 4, basically.
Yeah. The other thing that's going on is that what the men in the High Castle excelled at was at horrifying looking world going on. But you've got very human, very real characters. The only one doing bad shit, insane, crazy shit was Juliana Crane. Her character was just doing dumb shit. You're like, why are you doing all this stupid stuff? Stop it. Why the fuck do you keep doing this dumb stuff? I'm going to trust you, Joe. Why would you do that? You don't know this dude. You literally has Hitler's phone number. Why are you trusting him? Like, what the fuck is wrong with this chick? And it was like her stupidity was what moved the plot forward. And I hate that. And I think I gave the first season a pretty high score. And the second season, it was like Togawa. He was the one who saved the season for me.
Yeah.
And John Smith. him just being a fucking G and manipulating everybody, that in itself is getting kind of old because he does the same thing again this season where he's got a number of people kind of plotting against him.
Yeah.
The faces get broke. And
J. Hoover basically does the same thing that John Smith does, is that he tucks tail and says, like, hey, I'm working with the Germans and I'm ruthless. And that's why they keep me around. He was quite funny this season. Some things I did not like was the wife and then the Shrink's relationship. That just didn't need to be there.
Her whole motivation made no sense. They basically didn't know what to do with her, and they decided to give her character a rebellious arc. She should have remained as the supportive wife. If they wanted to give her an arc, that arc should have been entwined with what was going on with the husband. I thought her storyline as it was going with her grieving for her son made sense. But then it just takes another twist, and you're like, what the heck is going on in now? What is this mess?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the female characters in this season in particular, secondary female characters, got some stupid storylines. So Nicole Dormer, who is also one of the Lebensborn super soldiers, whatever the heck you want to call them, she's showing up as the propaganda agent trying to destroy American history. Also in a relationship with a female reporter. It was just, okay. Why is that there?
I mean, is it a show that the Nazis didn't tolerate lesbian gay relationships? I'm like, yeah, I get that. But it was also the times. It was the 60s. So, yeah.
Can't have that happen in Jagr Null, Keith.
I don't know, man. On the one hand, I like this season. They started to get towards the end, the whole resistance thing where they're going to be people fighting back and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. Let's go. Now we can get it going. Because now season 4 is being filmed now. So they're not going to be waiting a year or 18 months to release another one.
Yeah, but again, delves more into the parallel universe, branching universe theory. So Joe Blake's probably coming back because Juliana has a dream or film sequence where he kills her and she's trying to figure out what does this mean, where's this location at. She finds out that location, but she kills him very anticlimactically. This season just seems all around the place. Filler seemed to be too much of it. Season 2 seemed to be much more focused than this season. And this is the stopgap season to get you to the Germans going through the parallel universes.
It seemed like filler to get the next season up and running.
So, Keith, what score would you give Man in the High Castle Season 3?
So I'm going to get this one a 7.5. It kept my interest enough that I binge watched it.
Anything involving Frank or Mr. Chodan or Ed, I didn't really care for all that stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to burn it through it. And then, like, that Savo place, I was like, boring, whatever.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Star Wars, that they had to have some cantina where people kept coming back to. Important stuff revolves around that cantina. Who sees who. So for me, I'm going to give it a 6.5. Didn't know what to do with Joe Blake. Joe
Blake was set to be killed, man. He was a dead character.
For the arc of what happened last season, it was like, oh, snap. John Smith just basically averted a takeover of the government. A whole coup was done in by just one guy. And seeing what was going to happen to him, again, this season had to exist, but it could have been a lot better. That's all I can say. So 6.5 for me, 7.5 for Keith, Beast Game Podcast.